Welcome into WagerTalk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Ralph Michaels and Dave Koken of WagerTalk.com. We're talking Big Ten football here. Top 20 matchup, Dave. We got Ohio State at Penn State in Happy Valley with the Buckeyes laying 12 on the highway, 63 the total here, Dave. Any interest in betting Ohio State versus Penn State?
Well, let's talk about both teams. One, Ohio State was just absolutely dominant last week, which they figured to be. Penn State was too, and they managed to blow the game. James Franklinitis strikes again. It's a disease with this team. He finds a way to lose every important game. I don't know whose breakdown it was at the end of regulation, whether it was on the players or the coach, but you just can't. I mean, they did the one thing they couldn't do to give Indiana a chance to stay in the football game, and they did it. And Indiana goes down and then wins the game. And the problem is now that, especially in a shortened season, Penn State is effectively out of the playoffs already. The likelihood of them getting in, they have to run the table and hope that Clemson loses or Alabama loses or Notre Dame loses or whoever. So their road to the playoffs is really difficult. In fact, it's more likely with their schedule, you could be looking at the best 4-4 team in the country because they're probably going to lose this game. And there's probably a couple more on their schedule that are losable. They've taken a big hit at running back. They had a 4-man rotation last year. It's down to 1 now because one of the guys said, I'm not playing. Another guy's, Kane, I believe, got hurt last week. He's out for the year. So now they've got 1 guy left out of the rotation. That puts a lot of stress on the quarterback. And this is the wrong team to be facing when you've got that kind of a burden on the quarterback. Penn State had great stats last week against Indiana. They outgained them, I believe it was 277 yards. Absolutely crushed Indiana on the stats, but came out of it with a loss. I don't like that situation at all. I really don't like teams. You know, if a team loses a game they're supposed to win and they're facing a stiff the next week, there's every chance that they might go out there and say, you know, they'll take their frustrations out and really do a whack job on an inferior opponent. But stepping up in class, substantially up in class, I think makes it difficult. The home field advantage that you might have on a Saturday night at State College isn't there. I think Ohio State's going to nail them. I think the number's too high for me to get involved in, but I really don't want Penn State in this spot.
Ralph, coming to you, and this is a game we actually broke down in depth on the Best Damn College Football Show with Robbie Vino. And Dave Koken touched on something that you brought up in terms of home field advantage for Penn State not being what it was in years past. How much do you think that is really factoring in here in this 12-point line for Ohio State laying on the highway?
Yeah. You know, Dave, when I do my power ratings, I only have a few colleges at a 5. But when Penn State has a whiteout like this Saturday was supposed to be, I actually make them a 6.5. And Penn State is 11-2 on those rare whiteout games. The only 2 losses to Ohio State. Again, I think it's a negative this week for Penn State not having those fans there. The way they feed off a whiteout crowd on national TV, they play spectacular. So for them to come into this situation, supposed to have been a whiteout, only going to have the 2,000 friends and family there, I think it's a negative. I also agree with you. You are right with the 277 yards. Penn State put up 488 yards. They held Indiana to 211, and they were only -1 turnover. I bet I punched those into my database, and you're probably at a 97% win mark. So I think it is a negative. Devin Ford, the guy that did score the touchdown, only rushed for 3.5 yards per carry against an Indiana D that doesn't compare to Ohio State's. You flip the screen on the Ohio State. Yeah, their defense showed some flaws early. They're trying to keep the same schemes as they had last year with a new DC. Remember, their DC now at Boston College, Kerry Combs back, and they don't quite have the personnel. We saw Nebraska get a couple of touchdowns off them early. We saw Adrian Martinez run for a few yards, and I think that's the way this game plays out as well. Clifford ran for 119 yards on 17 carries at Indiana. I think the mobile quarterback gets a few big plays early in the first half. I think Penn State might score a touchdown or 2 in the first half to make it close. Remember, Ohio State was 14-14 against Nebraska, until they ran off a 38-3 run. I think it's close early. I think Ohio State completely dominates them after they make their halftime adjustments and just pulls away in the second half. My power rating number is where the line is, so I won't have a play on it. But there's only one way for me to go for the entire game, and that would be the Buckeyes here.
This will be Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern on ABC, Ohio State versus Penn State. Guys, you see it at the bottom of the scroll there. Check out WagerTalk SportsMemo.com. We got the November thank you special for only $199. Normally $349 for the month of November. You get every play, college football and NFL from handicapper of your choice for only $199. And if you buy today, you get the rest of October free as well. Check it out, Sports Memo, WagerTalk.com.